Okay, we are recording with Femi Joda. Am I pronouncing your last name properly?
Joda.
Joda.
Yes.
And that last name is from Nigeria.
Correct.
Family's from Nigeria.
Yes, we are.
You still have family in Nigeria?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. My parents are still there. They are also Canadian citizens, so they're usually here also maybe say half of the year, and they have also ties back in Nigeria, so they usually go back as well.
So were your parents born here and then went back to Nigeria?
Oh, no.
Or no, they were born in Nigeria, came here, got status.
Yes.
So we were talking about this briefly. So where were you? You weren't born here though.
I wasn't born here.
Okay.
I was born in London, England.
And then your parents moved back to Nigeria?
Yes. I feel like it was just a brief thing. So my mom was there just to give birth to me and my sister. And after she had given birth to us, we moved back to Nigeria. And I was there up until I was 15 and then moved to Canada at the time.
Holy shit. 15, that's tough. Like you're coming as a teenager to a brand new country. How was that? So you were leaving friends behind in Nigeria then?
Yeah.
What was that transition like? I mean, I guess for someone being born here, I guess I reflect back on my teenage years and I thought maybe some of it was difficult, but maybe it was rather easy compared to what you went through. Mm-hmm. How was that transition, leaving some friends behind and then coming here? Where did you go to school?
Hamilton is a college called Columbia International College. It's a private school. I did my grade 12 there.
Oh my gosh, I think I know that school. That school's right by McMaster University,
yes,
no?
You're right, yes. It's on Main Street. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you went?
That's where I went.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how was that school?
It was good. I mean...
You can tell us the truth.
Yeah, no. Good to know. It was great. It's a private school, and I think one of the things that helped me assimilate better was that there were other students who were from either Nigeria or other countries in Africa, and even I'd say globally as well too. There was tons of international students that went to that school, and so I feel like I found people who I could relate with even when I moved here. They were easy to talk to. We could easily get along. We had similar backgrounds, similar stories. So I think that helped me adjust a lot quicker than if I just came into the country and maybe I went to a school where we didn't have maybe say mixed cultures, etc. Right? So I think that was one thing that helped me out during that process. And honestly, it was fun. You know, I was by myself here. I had freedom as well. So I think I liked that aspect of...
So your parents weren't here?
They weren't here, no. Because the goal was to send me here to school to get a better education. That was like, I think the number one key reason for coming.
Oh, got it. So that was an intentional decision by their part, get educated here,
yes,
but then come back to Nigeria.
I think that was what they were thinking.
Okay.
But then one thing leads to another thing and then opportunities open up, right? And I think this was now in 2009 or 10, they then applied for permanent residency. I think there was an opening, there was something that came up in the immigration policy that I think was a sound sort of investment to come here and to get papers, right, to get your residency and everything. And so they did that in 2009. And then I think it took about maybe 2 years or so, or about a year and a half. In 2011, we became landed immigrants. And we got our papers, we got our permanent residency, and I've just been here ever since. And at the time, though, I was in school. I was doing my undergrad at York. And so, like, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be here for a lot longer than 4 years.
That just seems wild to me. Undergrad at York, landing in Hamilton from Nigeria, like that just feels like a culture shock of culture shocks. Like that seems wild to me. So you go to school there, you get in at York, you go to York, and then what happens? You start working here, you get jobs?
Yeah, so I mean, back then it was funny, it was rough, but then I've been through rougher things, so like even that feels like it was nothing. But of course, I got there to the job market, I started applying.
So what year is this?
This is 2013. So 10 years ago, I graduated from university. Feels like a lifetime ago. So yeah, I get a job. My first job was working at Hertz, the car rental. It was tough. It was a grind. I was like doing everything. I was by the counter, issuing out new contracts, rental contracts, washing cars in the back, dropping off vehicles, dropping off customers as well, picking them up, bringing them back into the store, everything you could think of. I think the one good thing there was I had a great manager, and I was also given the chance to learn more about the business, right? It wasn't just do the work,
That was great exposure then, yeah.
So I was 21, maybe 22.
Oh, valuable at that age. Yeah.
Right. I got great business exposure there. Though it was hard, I was working maybe like 60 hours a week too at the time. But I was like, you know what, this is good stuff that could last as a skill that I could use for years to come, right? And we're seeing that unfold today. And so I did that for about 8 months or so, and then I moved into the financial services industry. I got a job at a company called Invesco, and they're an asset management firm based here in Toronto, and also in the US too, but also they have a presence here in Toronto. And I was working as a client service representative, you know, taking phone calls, inbound contact center type of job. And there was, you know, different pace, of course, different industry too. But I feel like there I was able to like sort of hone my craft in that financial services space because I took economics in school with a bit of finance. And so I learned so much about the investing space in mutual funds, ETFs, etc., and got promotions. You know, I was there for about 4 years, but I always knew that I wanted to go on to do my MBA. That was something I think I felt I came across in 2012. And so I was kind of working towards that, doing the GMAT, you know, studying, prepping for all that stuff. And then fast forward to 2018, I got accepted into UBC. And so this was me now, been in Toronto for about 10 years at the time, I think, right? Yeah, 10 years. And now moving to Vancouver for school. I was like, you know what, might as well. Because I hadn't been to Vancouver before. I've always wanted to go visit. Shit. And I was like, this is not just even a chance to visit. I could actually live there also. I was like, you know what, signed, done, let's go. And so 2018 summer, I packed my bags, fly off to Vancouver for another...
Family, parents are still here?
They're still here.
In this area?
Yes.
Brothers or sisters in this area?
A sister, yes.
Sister.
Yeah.
But then you leave. You're like, screw it, I'm going to UBC.
I'm going to UBC. And I was there for about 16 to 18 months. Had a great time. A lot happened though. One, of course, let me just back up a little bit. So when I was going into UBC, I went in with the thought that I wanted to go pursue management consulting after I was done the MBA program. That was my path going forward. And so I think maybe say first month and a half or so into the program, I was like, not sure if that's what I really want to do with my life, you know, as far as a career goes. And so I was like, let me try human capital consulting instead, you know, go that human resource approach. And so I took a few courses there and I was like, okay, you know what? I want to try entrepreneurship. That didn't just stumble upon me though, because the idea for this came 10 years ago also.
So mention this for people who don't know yet.
So this is Dodo Foods Inc. This is my business that I have right now. We launched about about 2 months ago. And we're, you know, just trying to make things work now. Here's our focus though. We specialize in creating plantain-based products that are nutritious, high in value, and good for your body. And we want to do that and just make it grow as big as possible outside Canada, even across, you know, the globe.
And the reason that you have this knowledge is because you're in Nigeria or back home, you were growing up eating plantains?
Yeah. Growing up,
because here I feel like it's still a specialty market, niche market. If you don't have that in your background, you probably, like I don't come across plantains too often. And then hearing your passion for them when I stumbled into that conversation at the gym, like, holy shit, what am I missing here? So this was the entrepreneurial call for you.
Yes.
And then what can you tell us then? So I want to dive into this, but you're at UBC. And so that's the realization that you're not going to pursue any sort of next corporate job.
Correct.
And then you came back here.
Yes. But before I came back here though, we had 4 months in the summer of 2019 to either do an internship or an entrepreneurial project at UBC. And so I was like, I've had this idea of like, you know, starting a business, you know, doing something with plantains since 2013. Haven't really scratched that itch yet. And I'm like, this is a chance. I get 4 months, no distractions, no interruptions, nothing. Just focus on seeing if this actually makes business sense. And I was like, hey, screw the internship, screw getting paid. I'll do this instead. And so that was where I sort of dug deep. And I was like, you know what? We're doing marketing research, business plan, like everything. And so I spent those 4 months in the summer, again, doing those things. I spoke to potential clients while I was there, on campus, off campus, did market research, of course, did a marketing plan, and a business case to see if this actually makes business sense. And so, I also did product development too. That's the key thing. So I worked with the UBC professor in the food science department to see, okay, like how could we actually make frozen plantains? Because let me even take you back further. So the reason why we were thinking of this is, like you said, I think most people here don't really know about plantains. You do go grocery shopping and you go in there, the produce aisle, you see there's bananas.
Like
right?
I see them.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what do I do with them?
That's exactly right. Yes, and I think there just isn't that education or awareness about what these are. And I think that's a huge opportunity to, educate the market, to like bring something to light. Because again, I grew up eating these like 4 or 5 times a week. So for me, it's a staple. Though when I moved here, I couldn't find readily available plantains that were ripe and ready to eat. The ones you probably see at the store are usually green. Think of a banana. Like if it's green, you don't want to peel and eat. Like it's still starchy. It's just not sweet. Similar to a plantain as well. When it's green, some people eat it when it's green, but you have to like cook it in different ways to, make it more digestible. But typically most folks that I know eat it when it's a little bit riper, when it's maybe yellowish, greenish yellow, or even like yellowish black as well on the sweeter side. And so I was like, why is it that I just can't find ripe plantains? Because at home, like they're everywhere, right? Yeah. And so I was like, so a friend and I were just thinking about this. This was back in 2013, and we're like, if we can have frozen bananas, frozen strawberries, frozen fruits and vegetables, why can't we just flash freeze plantains when they're ripe at that texture? And that was how the idea was born, really, just like that. And it wasn't, okay, let's just go and create this. It was, let's even see if this even exists anywhere. Like if there's frozen plantains at the store that we just don't know of. And we just checked. None. There was nothing. I feel like there were only 2 companies that were doing something similar to what we're doing now. They were based in the US. You couldn't find them in Canada. Like they were not in any stores in the GTA from what we found anyways. And so we're like, hey, like this presents an opportunity to actually create something and take this to market. And so we're working hand in hand. We did our research work and everything, but we just didn't go out and execute. So that's why there's that, from the idea to like actually doing this, there's that time frame. And of course, life gets in the way, right? So we're like, well, we just finished from school. You just graduated in 2013. Okay, get a job, work. And, things kind of like fall by the wayside until I was like, nah, not anymore. Like, let's do this.
And so how did you work with somebody at UBC to figure out to approach vendors, I guess? Like, how did you go through that product development life cycle? Like, where are you sourcing these right now? How did that come to?
So, I mean, then it was just more like, let's just do a test and experiment to see how you can actually flash freeze them. So I would just go to the grocery store, pick up a couple of plantains and just...
You would try it.
And try, exactly, yes. And it was interesting because one of the things that I learned through that process, like working with a professor, like, he was a great person and he had the right skills and knowledge, but what he taught me was a theoretical framework of how to flash freeze fruits and vegetables that would not be applicable to plantains. So we did try it out, a couple of times during my time at UBC. One thing I kept on seeing was that it just had a different taste. Like it didn't taste like an actual plantain because there were a few other steps involved in that process of flash freezing that didn't have to be. And so that sort of like changes and modifies the taste or the texture of the plantain. And I was like, this isn't a product I can, take to market or stand behind because it just does not taste like plantains. And so anyways, I finished my program at UBC end of 2019, moved back here, January 2020. And then I started approaching kitchen facilities to see, okay, like, where could I actually get this done? Where could I actually produce here in the GTA? And I came across one just east of Toronto, and I was like, hey, this is the idea that I'm trying to get to. We've done a few tests, but didn't come out as expected. How can we rework this? How can we like maybe just find different ways or different techniques to flash freeze without changing the texture or the taste of the plantain? And he gave me like one simple insight, and that was it. We tried it out, like a trial run, and boom, it was like perfect, the exact same taste. So like fresh, frozen, no difference.
Awesome. And is that what's in the smoothie that I'm drinking right now? Frozen ones that you put in here?
Correct.
Because it is a nice texture. I think there's a different flavor. I drink a lot of smoothies with strawberries, blueberries, bananas. but I can tell this is slightly different.
Yeah.
The taste is different, and I don't fully know how to describe it, but it is like a banana taste. But I don't know if you're saying mild or I originally said richer. Like there's just a different taste to it that's quite nice.
Yes.
So now that you have this, now it's like kind of going to market with this thing. I guess, there's part of me that thinks an entrepreneurial journey can be difficult if you're trying to lead with education, because you're trying to teach people.
Absolutely.
Hey, here's my product. Here's what I'm offering. And I have to, they're not buying this naturally here in this area. So how are you kind of finding that experience so far? And what are you doing to get the word out?
Right. We're doing a lot of things, but like to that point, it's something one of my other professors too, who I worked with at UBC, said. He was like, this is a great idea, but the uphill battle is that education and the awareness. And he was like, if you're willing to stick out that grind, I think you could actually do something big with this. And I'm seeing that today, like people just don't know what it is, right? So it's like, we got to lead with education. And so I think one of the easier ways to do is sampling, right? Here,
because once you have it, you're like, holy smokes, I'll have another.
Once you taste it, then you're like, okay, this is good. Like, what's this? And then you start asking, as a consumer, you then ask questions, right? And then I can then say, okay, you know what? Put this in like your smoothie, maybe fry this up with some coconut oil, pair it up with like rice and beans.
Fry it up with coconut oil.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right? Like, give it a more tropical flavor if you want to, right? Fry it with eggs for breakfast, put it as toppings on pancakes. Like there's different things you could do with plantains, but it's just, again, creating that education. And so one of the things, I wish I brought my package here as well. One of the things we have on our new package that we launched about a month ago is recipes on the back.
Oh, smart.
So like easy step-by-step recipes you could follow. So if you see it in the grocery store, you just pick it up, turn the back. Oh, there's a few recipes here, plus a QR code that links to the recipe page on our website, again, to just show you how else to use it at home. And I think that's one of the ways we're trying to drive and create that awareness too. Of course, through our social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, just putting out more recipes and content about how to use the product.
So since 2020, this has been a full-time effort for you, correct?
No. 2020 was an interesting year.
Yeah. For all of us.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so it's funny, me thinking back to this now that you asked the question, when I came back to Toronto, I was just gonko and going full on this, right, on the business. And, thank God for my family. I love them to bits. But they're like, hey, you just went out there, you spent money, you just got an MBA. Like, go get a job, go get a high-paying job.
Make some money.
Right, make some money, right, And I see their point, but I was just so fired up too. And, I took their advice, of course. I got a job, but then I was intentional about the kind of job I got. So I was applying around looking for something that I thought would be a good fit for me and give me, again, skills that I could use long term. I'm always thinking of skills, acquiring skills. And I came across this job at a bank, CIBC. It was a product manager role where you'd be helping small businesses. I love small business. That's what I do, right? And so I was like, you know what? Creating financial products and services to better entrepreneur's life, it sits well with me. It makes so much sense. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to apply for this job. And long story short, I got the job. I was working there since 2020 till just the end of 2022. But while I was there, I learned so much about the industry, banking, creating financial tools that can help small businesses, which would eventually help me as well too. So I kind of got the inside scoop on, what to do and how to run my business, to make it have financial sense and stability if I was to go approach the bank for a loan or for some credit funding. And while I was there, I loved that job. I loved everything that we did because, again, we were helping small businesses. And again, this was a time where businesses were hurting, right? So bad. And there was a lot we did there to help them as well, to just, even just stay open and just stay, have some sort of cash flow coming in as well. But I knew ultimately at some point I wanted to focus on the business. And so I was like, when is that going to happen? Fast forward from 2020 to 2022, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to still work here, but try to launch this business somehow. I just can't stand still. And so I go on Shopify, launch a website. I create a website on Shopify. And also backstory to that. So I've been an entrepreneur for a while. Back in 2017 and 2018, I tried drop shipping. Not sure if you're familiar. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I did drop shipping, so I had
Everybody goes down their drop shipping path at some point. Oh my gosh, I can sell product and I don't have to deal with it.
Right.
I'll start. This is the best business ever.
Yeah, I know, right? So I did that about 2 years, 2017, 2018. And so I got the skills of how to like build a website and just, run ads, that kind of thing.
Huge skills.
Huge, right? Yeah. Exactly. And so I was able to use that in building my business website for Joda Foods. And so I did that Q1 of 2022, and I launched in April of 2022. And, when Big Blast.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's April 2022 has really been the big launch.
Yeah.
Good for you. So this is a baby for you right now.
It is, yes.
This is the hard part, man. This is to get momentum in this business. You're in the thick of things right now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that the skills that you've picked up along the way, I think everything from almost just your school being dropped into a different country and having to survive that. But then you were daring enough to go out to UBC kind of on your own. You started a drop shipping business and you learned skills about website development.
Right.
All of this is kind of like the raw material you need to launch something, to give you the confidence to do it. Absolutely. You worked with small businesses at the bank. So everything's kind of lining up really nicely for you. I'm just trying to brainstorm on how to get the education out there about plantains and how to cook them, how to eat them, to just educate that market for you. But I guess from April, how do you start approaching things? Because I think you mentioned to me you're in farmers markets and stuff like that.
Yes.
So that was one of the things you started to do right away last summer, I guess?
That was just this year. So
that was this year.
Most of our efforts have just happened in the last, say, 3-4 months.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Last year was, just get it out there. Like, stop hanging on to this thing for a while. Just get it out there and start something, right? And so that was what last year was all about, from April to, I guess, December. But then even like by June, so I guess 2 months into our launch last year, I was like, you know what? Like the first 2 months were successful. Like we were getting sales. People were like, we were excited. We got good feedback.
From the website, are you getting sales?
Yes, from the website, right?
Okay.
And I was like, this is great. But then come July, things started to fall. Like sales were declining. I'm like,
summer, yeah.
Yeah. But then also like, I just didn't have the time, or I didn't get the time to actually, push it out there, market it, just go out there and sell. I wasn't doing that because, again, I was focusing on my full-time job at the time. Don't want to give excuses, but that was just the case.
Sure.
Right? And I was like, I can't do this because also I have aspirations to either climb the corporate ladder or focus on this and just grind this out. And I was like, what would I rather do more? Like, what do I really, really want? And I asked myself that question, and I kind of think I always knew what the answer was, but you just got to like.
It's obvious talking to you what the answer is.
Right. I think now it's obvious, right? Yeah. And anyways, I was like, this is what I want to do. This business, this is just what I want to go out there and execute on. And so I remember in August of 2022, I approached my boss and I was like, hey, I'm going to say my goodbyes. I'm leaving.
Shit.
However, I'm going to leave at the end of the year. So I give, the bank 4 months notice. We worked well to transition everything off, and it was great. Now we have a great relationship, like me and my colleagues, my boss, and everyone that I worked with.
So they were receptive to that.
Very, from the day I was hired, I told my boss and my boss's boss that when they asked me, like, 5 years from now, what do you want to do? I'm like, my own business. So they knew. And so my VP said it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And that was kind of good to see and to hear, because they knew I was definitely in on this and I was for the long haul and just running the business. And so when I, told my boss, he was like, yeah, you know what, this doesn't come as a surprise, that he knew it was eventually going to happen sooner than later even. And so anyways, we transitioned things off, December comes around, I say my goodbyes. January comes, I'm like, let's go. And so we start off with a huge event, the Toronto Food and Drink Festival, that happened in March of this year.
Oh, awesome.
That was a big event. It was downtown Toronto. Like we got lots of customers there, like people just,
great. Again,
creating that awareness, right? Just to be out there in people's faces like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're about. Come check us out. And so we had that. And then this was our first summer doing like farmers markets, things like that. We have a few events also from July up until August. Just again, creating the awareness, just creating the buzz, just showing people, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're about, plantains and plantain-based products. And that's taken off now. Like we're seeing some sales boost. The market is great because now we could actually give out samples. We could do testers. Yeah. We could sell direct right there without having to come to the website if you don't want to, So we're creating more avenues and ways to, get customers, acquire new customers, get distribution also, and just grow the brand.
So when we were starting this business, we didn't have a database of our own customers to try to advertise to or market to. So we went to some mortgage brokers that we had experience with who already trusted us, and we told them, hey, we're starting this business about real estate. We want to help investors. No one's really helping investors. Now every real estate person helps investors, but back in like 2006, 2007, nobody was. So we said, could you have a list of clients. You trust us already.
Right.
Can you send out this mailer to all of your database endorsing us and saying this is kind of great stuff and come and check us out? And we held like a free training class for anyone who wanted to learn how to buy a student rental by McMaster. That's why I know where you went to school. I've owned student rentals in that area forever. I used to drive by that school. I'm like, what's going on in that school? Who are those kids? What's happening?
I was in that school.
You were in that school. I probably drove right by you. But anyway, so then we would, lead with education as our business. That was our approach. Like, hey, you've probably heard bad things about owning student rentals. Come out to our class and we will tell you about student rentals and teach you about them and how they're actually not really bad at all. I was just speaking to a friend of mine who's owned a student rental for 30 years, never had a missed rent check. Because all the students, 30 years, because all the students are usually backed by their parents.
Right.
So usually if you have students in there, you're getting paid.
You're good. Mm-hmm.
Are you going to have to deal with the odd party, the odd thing? Yes. But that's kind of easier, in my opinion, to deal with than chasing someone who hasn't paid in 6 months maybe, and you have to deal with the landlord-tenant board. That can get rather complicated. Not complicated, it's usually a pain. It's not complicated. So we would lead with education. So I guess my point is, I wonder where you could go. Like, I wonder if there's like, is there a Nigerian community in Toronto that already has a big list of people who already know, who you don't even have to educate because they grew up eating plantains, and you can go to them and say, hey, here I am here doing this. Can you broadcast and I'm sure you've had all these thoughts already, or to some like quote unquote celebrity chef in Toronto and say, hey, I want to share like a new ingredient to your community.
Right.
Would you be willing to do that? And I can kind of offer some education in the area. I'm basically trying to figure out how you can get onto somebody else's audience or someone else's database of clients to broadcast what you're doing. Because then you don't have to spend the money to acquire the attention. They already have the attention.
Right.
Right. And so for us, it was lawyers, accountants, mortgage brokers. I'm wondering who it would be for you to start leveraging to spread the word.
I think you're right. So like food influencers, right? Like on Instagram, on social media, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Those chefs, celebrity chefs, even people who I think maybe aren't celebrity chefs or even chefs at all, just that have a good following, maybe say a sizable following, but just like to cook and just showcase what they're doing, like their lifestyle basically. Even people like that too, who would like something like this, like plantains, I think would be a good fit as well, to just say, hey, try the product, and give us a review, like give us some feedback. What do you think? And can you endorse this product as well too, if it fits within your purview of what you think you'd like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you probably don't know Health Nut Nutrition. Matthew Varga and his partner, she is huge on YouTube and does healthy kind of foods and that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'll just make a quick introduction. Who knows? Maybe there's something there that they can kind of share what you're doing, kind of spread the word. They have a huge social media following. Yeah, because that just seems like a natural thing to find communities that already would like you. Because you're a very likable person, so that works for your business. And then like this product, to just share it. Because the other way to grow the business, and I'm sure you know all this stuff, but for us was doing paid advertising at first. So like we had to find the offer that because I don't know if there's one particular product that you find is selling the easiest. So for us, we found what people seemed to get attracted to was a very simple real estate investing approach. It wasn't even the one we had the most experience with at the time.
Okay.
But it was just buying single family homes, renting them out, and then offering the tenant the option to buy the property at the end of a 3-year lease if they wanted to.
Okay.
And you didn't have to do renovations. There was no flippings. It was a nice, easy kind of real estate investing strategy. And we led with that because from our marketing, even though we had flipped properties and done student rentals and knew all this other investing stuff, that was the one people responded to. Is there one what products are you selling on your website right now?
So right now it's just frozen plantains.
Okay.
But we have them in 3 different cuts. We have the round, we have the cubed or the diced, and we have the oval shape.
Okay.
So it's just 3. It's essentially the same thing. It's just 3 different cuts.
Presentation types.
Types, yeah. And some people typically use some for example, like I know some people actually use the cubed ones for smoothies because it's like small chunks. You could easily fry them up.
Makes sense.
You could easily throw them into your smoothie blender and chop it up easy. However, though, some people also use those diced cubed ones as croutons in salad. So they're a little like maybe say like what 10 millimeters in size, length all around, and they're really like just like nice little chunks. So think of croutons. It's like, like breads and just like little chunks as well too. If you fry the plantains up, maybe with like a bit of salt and just some oil, like they come crispy also. And so it's like a good replacement for your croutons in your salad.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
And so
there is a lot of education here because that sounds brilliant and I had never heard of this before.
Right? Yeah. But there's so many applications that you could use plantains for.
Where are you? So how about the process of sourcing your plantains? Was that difficult to get going?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit challenging because, again, like we can't really find optimal ripe plantains. And so I had to like really reach out to like people at the Ontario Food Terminal because typically if you think of plantains, these are all coming from either Guatemala, Ecuador, Mexico, mostly South American countries.
Okay.
Because we just can't grow them here just due to our climate, right? And so it's like, well, how can I actually find plantains that are good, that are, also like premium quality, grown on a good farm? And honestly, just the internet, Google just being my friend, just searching and calling up people like, hey, do you guys have plantains? Where do you source them from? Like which country? What's the process of sourcing those plantains? And then can I then buy from you after I find out more information? But it's just picking up the phone and calling. But one thing that helped me also was, so again, we had the idea since 2013. I think around like from 2018 to like 2020, 2021, I did a lot of that research and that groundwork and like calling people to see, okay, like where could I get them sourced from? So that kind of helped me when I launched in 2022. And I didn't have to do all that same research work because I already had the answers from before. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I know this company, ABC, they have plantains. They're a good company I could work with. And it seems like they have good supply. I'll call them up and reach out to them and see if they can just, give me maybe say 2 or 3 cases to start with. And then from there, grow.
Good for you.
And, then we came across another supplier also like about maybe say a month ago or so. We just stumbled upon them, randomly. And I was like, hey, because I saw their truck and I was like, looks like you guys actually have plantains in the back there because it was open. And I was like, hey, can I get your number? I was with my cousin. She got his number. We called him like, hey, you know what'd you guys sell? And it was like plantains and other produce as well too. Like, hey, what's the price point you guys are selling your plantains at? And it was actually cheaper than where we were buying it before. And we're like, okay, we'll give you a try. And so just by, stumbling upon him at this place, we just, got a new contact, got a new supplier, and so far he's been great.
Good. Yeah, good for you. And I didn't ask you the obvious question. Why plantains over bananas?
I think it's just, again, coming back to that
is there a nutritional difference or
well,
taste difference?
Both, actually. There's a nutritional difference, and I can walk you through that. So taste, first of all, I know you probably couldn't really taste it as much as you would taste it if it was maybe say fried or cooked in a different way in the smoothie. But typically they're less sweet than a banana. You'd have to cook them before you eat them in most cases. So typically I fry them up, just pan fry with some oil, and I eat them as a side or even just as a whole. So they definitely taste different. Now, if they're on the greener side, they're more savory. If they're on the yellowish side, they're more sweet. So it depends on what texture you prefer or your palate, right? Now, on the nutritional side, so let's just even compare 100 grams of bananas to 100 grams of plantains. As far as calories, I think maybe say bananas have like maybe say 23, plantains have about maybe say 45 or so. So you get more calories from, same grams of plantains.
And you need calories. We'll talk about you working out at the gym in a little bit. You need calories for what you do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's also good carbs too, right? So I think also you have about probably a 10 to 20 gram differential between plantains versus bananas on that scale of 100 grams of either or. Vitamin A, vitamin B6 as well too. It's like by almost 1,000-fold more value in a plantain versus a banana. So it's not that bananas are not good. It's just that I would say this is an upgraded banana, if you would call it that.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then different communities. So like Mexicans eat these.
Yes.
Someone was just we were talking about El Salvadorians eat these. So basically
Yes, Latin America.
everyone outside of Canada, basically.
North America, essentially.
And so everyone
right?
outside of North America.
Yeah, Asia, Africa.
Oh, Asia as well.
Yes, they do.
Damn, so these are all around the world.
Yes.
Huh. Man, I'm so naive to this. This is ridiculous.
No, but don't feel bad. It's just, I guess it's just the society that we live in today, right? Like, we just aren't aware. And
that's just where my mind goes to, like, oh my gosh, there are so many different populations in Canada and the Toronto area. If there's a big Mexican something going on where you can present this, and if Mexicans are already educated on this, there's a market sitting there waiting to know about dodo foods.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're already educated on this thing. You don't have to educate these guys.
And that's something also very interesting that I'm coming to learn also, and I've learned over the last 2 years. So there's the market that already has the education. They know what it is, right? Within that market, there's a subset of people who are, they like things a certain way, or they're hesitant to change.
Oh, got it.
When they see frozen plantains, they're like,
oh, they're not used to it.
Why? I just buy it fresh. Because, even for me, growing up in Nigeria, I don't have to flash freeze plantains. I would probably never do that if
you're just going to get some fresh ones.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yes. But come over to this side of the world, right? We just can't get them, right? And it's like, well, if we can't, then, there has to be a solution. And this is one thing that we've seen to work. Again, that subset of people who are resistant to change, they're like, well, it's not fresh. It's
got it. Okay.
And here's the thing, right? Studies have shown it's a huge misconception. Frozen versus fresh, they're almost
exact. I know now.
Right? Yeah, well,
and I think now with berries and stuff, there's more nutritional content in some of the berries that are frozen instead of being sitting on a truck and picked before they're ripe.
And I think that has gotten better over time because now we have better technology to actually freeze at optimal levels, right? Because now, in the case of berries, right, it comes off the tree and within maybe either a couple of hours or the same day, within a 24-hour period, it's getting straight to the freezer, to get frozen, right? If it's just fresh, it stays on the truck for a couple of days.
In the dark.
Exactly, right? Yeah. That process of getting ripe, or the ripening process has already occurred more.
They don't even smell right. When you smell a berry from coming up from California on a truck, you smell it. You're like, it's not the same as an Ontario berry.
It's not. Yeah, it's different. Exactly, right? Yeah. So there's all these other parts that people don't see, at the grocery store, that process, right, from the farm to your table has occurred, but you don't know exactly what that has and what effects it has on the nutritional content of what you're eating. Whereas if it's flash frozen within maybe say hours after it's been plucked, that value and that nutritional value is stored at that time when it's flash frozen, and that's the benefit you get from eating frozen products.
When you're going to a farmer's market, I imagine a lot of people there are new to plantains at farmer's markets.
Yeah.
What has been the reaction there?
Wow, there's been a couple. I think one, we didn't even know what this was. Or I think most folks, there's a camp of people who have tried it before. Maybe they were on vacation to maybe say the Caribbean.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Or somewhere in Latin America.
Yeah.
I've had plantains in Peru. I'm but I've never had them here. And I'm well, now's your chance. Now you can. And I think here's the thing, to your point that you said earlier, most people know that they can get them here, especially the ones who've tried them before. But they're I don't know what to do with them. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to make them. I see them in the grocery store right next to bananas, but then I don't know how to make them, and I don't want to go mess it up and not have the same taste I got when I was in Jamaica trying out plantains for the first time. And so that's why we're here. We can actually help you and educate you and give you easy step-by-step recipes to follow at home. And also, in most cases, if you've had plantains in the Caribbean, it was probably ripe. It wasn't green. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're selling today. It's the ripe ones. It's the ones that are sweeter, that have more flavor and texture. That's what people really want. And so that's what we're giving to you right now. It's just take it home, try a few recipes. And
I wonder if this market, for someone like me, I'm making smoothies all the time. I dump in some protein that I get from Radix, from Dan.
Right.
And I'm putting in bananas and stuff. You're right. That's an easy way for some people like myself who are new to this. I'm okay, I can I'm using frozen blueberries and strawberries already.
Exactly.
So it's an easy kind of thing to add into that.
Yes.
So where now with these, I'm just curious on your kind of marketing journey here. Are you doing anything on YouTube, social media yet? Is that something you're trying out?
Not yet. So social media, we just have our presence there. We post, maybe once a week or so, and try to do more. Ads, not yet. We're actually working on that. We're actually even working on optimizing our website right now. So maybe see in a few weeks, it may not look like how you've seen it today. But we're working on all that now. And I feel like now is the time again, like you said, this is that crucial moment of, that first full year of being in business where you have to lay the foundation and then build from there.
Do you want to leverage your personality at all in this business, or are you intentionally not? And the reason I'm asking is because you have a very likable and approachable style to yourself and the way you present yourself. Have you thought about using your own personality to market this business as a piece of the marketing? When we started, there's a concept in some businesses, and it's something we learned from some of our mentors, that when you're new in business, you can do the branding, of course, do the branding for everything that you're doing, but people are attracted to other people and they're attracted to other people's stories, and they buy from other people. They don't necessarily buy from just the brand in and of itself when the brand is very young.
Right.
So you can leverage your personality in the business, and when people come to know you and like you, they're more likely to buy from you. So something in this business that Nick and I started with, it was us on the YouTube channel. It was us talking about this, us like explaining, hey, it's Tom and Nick here. We're sharing this. And that really worked to our advantage early on. Now that we've been in business for about 15 years, people come into Rockstar and they'll mention Rockstar Real Estate, or they might not even know myself or Nick. Mm-hmm. But at the beginning, it was like the Tom and Nick show.
Right.
So they would come in and say, oh my gosh, Tom, I saw, you do this. I want to work with you. So I wonder if there's an opportunity for you to leverage your personality. It's an asset to you in this business, just talking to you.
Thank you.
So it's something to consider, but some people just don't want to. They intentionally just are saying, no, I'm going to kind of lead with the brand and I'm going to be behind the scenes and kind of push this brand out.
Yeah. I have thought about that. And I think it's great because, again, thank you for the compliment. And I would love to use that, to even help grow the business. I just haven't been intentional about doing that. And it's not that I don't want to. I'm all for it. Like if that can give me, an advantage, I'll take it. Yes. And I just haven't really, sought it out.
Yeah, it might be something you want to listen. It's your business. It just worked for us. And that's why I'm sharing it. It was a bit of a cheat code on the marketing, because so many of our competitors at the beginning, if I reflect back, first of all, I never thought there was competitors. Like you're doing your business, you have your brand, and like Dodo is going to have its message and appeal to its customer. It has no competition. The way you're going to represent it, there's no real competition. You're doing your thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe in business you have direct competitors when you really are coming with really from the heart and good intent. But something that worked with using our personalities that differentiated us so much, because other people in real estate would hide behind their logo.
Right.
They would make a branded website, get a nice logo, and then they would kind of hide behind it. You never knew who was behind the website. So there wasn't that like natural human connection,
right,
where we were like, hey man, it's us. We're not perfect. We're trying our best. We'll teach you everything we need to know. You know, here's how to do this real estate thing. And it just built a lot of trust with people. Whereas our competitors, again, I think sometimes humans feel a little bit like they have imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be speaking about this thing? I can't go on, a video and talk about this stuff. Like, people are going to make fun of me or I'll say the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. So there was a bit of that. And then some people just wanted that professional look and felt if they were just talking on a video that they were doing, it didn't kind of convey the professional approach of the brand that they wanted to. Whereas we just ignored all of that stuff and kind of went out there, waved our hands around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think people got a sense that we were coming from the heart. Our intentions were pure in this, and it really, really helped us. And that's the only reason I'm mentioning it, because you have that in talking to you. It just might be an asset that you have as a business, who you are as a person. And well, look how I met you just at the gym. First of all, you're doing psycho workouts. Anyone who thinks they're doing a workout and then sees Femi do a workout, you're just put in your place immediately, because Femi's you're sorry, you were like destroying things in the gym, like in a good way. And I was there working out with Mike. I'm like, who's this guy moving around some weight really fast and quick? And then just talking to you within like a couple minutes, it's obvious, you're a good person and kind of easy to chat with. So you just have that about you. again, it's an asset to the business that to me, most people ignore. And it's something not taught in an MBA.
Sure.
It's never discussed in university, but out on the streets, that's something that really works.
Right.
Anyway, it's just something potentially you might want to keep
I might,
in mind.
no, I definitely would keep that in mind. Yeah.
Since we brought up the gym, I do want to ask about this. How the hell have you become this fit? And where does this come from? Like, what the heck? Can you describe? Because I think I saw you doing, what were you doing? You were doing like, to me, I thought it was like heavy cleans or decent heavy clean and jerks, burpees, rowing. I don't know. You were doing it was like a combination of cleans, I think, and rowing and burpees or box jumps, and you were just smashing it. Where does this all come from? How long have you been working out, and why are you working out?
I've been working out for at least maybe say 12, 13 years.
Okay.
I think maybe 14 or 15 actually. Yeah, I'd say since 2009.
So why did you start?
So back then, honestly, it was just, hey, just get the muscles.
Just want to look good.
Attract
You just wanna look
girls.
good.
Yeah. Honestly, if we're being honest, that was
Yeah,
that's what it was. Like at the time, I was like, yeah, I just want to get the muscles and look
Okay, so
attractive.
then how the discipline to keep going?
I wasn't disciplined very much shortly. Like I think for about maybe say from 2009 to about maybe say 2011, I would say yes, I was disciplined because I had a different motivation at the time, right? To look good, to, have that appearance. I think in 2012 or so, I think, that kind of switched out. I wasn't really, just caring about the appearance. It was more like, now fitness, like, okay, how do I actually stay healthy and fit doing this, like exercising and doing workouts? And so that's where the shift changed. And I found that it was a lot harder at the time to just be consistent. So I would still maybe say a couple of times in the week. And then maybe like say after like a month or 2 months, I'd maybe like take a week off or 2 weeks off or just like, fall off the wagon. Again, I was in school, but you know what? There's always some excuse, right? And I didn't always have that follow through and that consistency, for a while, like from 2012 to about maybe say 2016, I wasn't always that consistent, but I was still working out, right? So I had a good base either way. And then I think from 2016, I came across a guy who had a boot camp. Then I was going to Good Life in Mississauga, and he looked like he was doing something really, really good. It was different workouts from what I was doing, in the past. So I was like, hey, I want to give this a try and just, see what the results would look like. And it was, I think, a 6-week boot camp. So I gave that a try, and I was like, you know what, sign me up for the next one again. So I did it 12 weeks straight back to back, got amazing results. And I was like, you know what, he also combined like nutrition as well too in that whole plan.
And what were some of the movements in the boot camp? Like what kind of things were you doing in there?
We had, I think wall balls were in there, battle ropes.
Okay, so it was different than just going to the gym, like doing bench press and some triceps.
Weightlifting, exactly.
Okay.
Right? Like what traditional bodybuilding. Yeah, it was not that. It was like mixed up into different things, right? Like some cardio in there as well too. We used the rowing machine a couple of times, so it was it was definitely varied movements throughout the entire boot camp. And so I liked that format of training. I was like, this is fun. Like it's hard, it's tough. Mm-hmm. It makes me, push myself, but I do like it though. It's still good. And so I did that. And then again, 2018, I kind of leave Toronto and move out to UBC to Vancouver for school. And so I'm still working out, but I go back to like my traditional style, bodybuilding, weightlifting, that sort of thing. And then I come back to Toronto. This is now 2020. And we have, COVID happens. And thankfully, my sister is also a personal trainer. She's also all about fitness. She's even more fitness oriented than I am now. And I remember when I moved back, because I didn't have any place to stay, I was staying with her and her husband at her house here in Oakville. And I think it was probably from about maybe say March, April, she was putting me and her husband through workouts at home. And it was just fun. It was fun, but it was a grind. And she'd like push it, like, go hard, go hard, go hard. And so, I had, again, I was still working out there. So I had, again, a good foundation even throughout the lockdown during COVID. And then I didn't want to go back to the gym, like to a traditional gym after that. I was like, I want to try something different. And I don't know how I stumbled upon this, but I came across CrossFit. I guess it was maybe through YouTube or something. I think actually,
here we go.
The first time actually was in Vancouver, because there are a few CrossFit gyms in Vancouver, but I didn't really look into it. I didn't even go to a class. I just kind of came across it, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. Check it out some other time in the future, and then YouTube shows up, and I'm like, hey, this is CrossFit. And then I think at the time, because that was 2020. So I guess it was the games, right? It was also summertime. I think there was like part one of the 2020 CrossFit Games was happening at the time. And so I came across like a video on YouTube. I was like, hey, this looks intense, but fun also. And I was like, hey, I want to try this out. So I was watching more videos on CrossFit. I think I watched a few of like the documentaries as well on Netflix. I was like, hey, this is crazy. This is insane. I got to try this because I'm always like, wanting to do crazy stuff. And so, as lockdown was easing up, I think in July of August of 2020, I was looking around for CrossFit gyms in the area. So I came across a few others, and then I came across Radix as well. And I was like, hey, let me give this guys a call and just see if I could, come for a class.
Oh, got it. Okay, so you just walked in.
I called for, I think I sent an email or I called first. I'm not sure. But I know I got a call back from Rachel, and she was like, hey, like, let's just talk and see, like, where you're at fitness-wise, what drew you to CrossFit, etc. And so I just, told her my story. And she was like, yeah.
She competed at the regionals at one point for CrossFit.
Right. I found that out, maybe about a year. I was like,
I went to go watch her. It was at the International Center. Holy shit, man. She was crazy. That was crazy stuff. So you spoke to her. Yeah. Holy, what a small world.
I know, right? Yeah. And so I came for the first class, I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. And I remember that day. So we for that.
Who did you meet? Tyler at that point?
So I met Tyler for sure. I met Tyler. I met Mark.
Oh, cool. Once you meet Tyler, you're never forgetting Tyler. Tyler's like the best trainer I've ever come across.
Right? He's the best guy. And I met a bunch of other people who are still there today, which is great. And I was at the 6 a.m. class also. And
so when you say Mark Mulder?
Yes, Mark
Mulder. Oh my
gosh.
Yes. Mark was just here with Anthony DeGazon, who I guess you don't know, a longtime client of ours. Okay. He runs a music school. They were just here because on the side of what they both do for their full-time lives, Mark's a grade school teacher, grade 8. Mm-hmm. Anthony runs a music school with his wife. They're teaching financial literacy classes to kids. Wow. I don't know if you know this, and they're just kind of launching this out. Oh yeah, you got to ask them about it. Yeah, It's great stuff. So they were just here talking about this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just last week. So nice. Freaky timing. So you met Mark.
Yeah.
Holy smoke. And Rachel, just so you know, Nick dragged me into a gym. I didn't go to the gym until I was 40. We started this business, and I had kind of stomach problems. I was eating like garbage. Mm-hmm. And Nick, who has to go to the gym 6 days a week, otherwise he can't live.
He can't live. Yeah.
Yeah. He said, hey, you should start going to the gym. He dragged me to this gym he was going to because he was bored with the weightlifting. So he went down the same path you went to, and he found Rachel.
Okay.
And where she was before Radix.
Right.
And he's like, come to this gym. I went there, and they put me through a little assessment. I think I deadlift. Femi, you're just going to laugh at this.
No.
But I think I deadlifted a bar with 25s on the side, and my back, that's 95 pounds. Right. And I did it, 3 or 4 times, and my back started seizing up. And I told Nick, I don't know if I can do this, man. Like, I've never gone to the gym before. Like, I'm moving this weight. And he looked at how much weight I had on that deadlift bar, and he goes, you don't admit this to anyone. You don't even you don't tell anybody. You don't tell anybody your back is seizing up with 95 pounds on that bar. Okay, you just do not admit that. And I was like, holy shit, man. And now, obviously, I know how light 95 pounds is. But yeah, I couldn't do a single pull-up, and Rachel stuck with me. She tied that green elastic band to my foot and to the bar, and it helped me doing pull-ups. Like, I couldn't do one. And then the day I got one pull-up by myself was amazing. So she stuck with me. She taught me how to nutrition and diet and the whole thing.
She's great at that. Yeah.
She's amazing, and she yelled at me a lot. But that's freaky that you got her on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go there, and then you start doing some CrossFit style workouts.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. So again, I've been working out since I was 2009.
Yeah, for a while. Yeah.
So I thought, I'm good. I'm fit. I'm strong. And then I think it was either the first or the second workout. I think it was 150 cals on the rowing machine.
Oh.
I feel like a piece of my soul is still on that floor, and I will always be on the floor in Radix, just
because then your ego kicks in.
Right.
You're like, I could do this.
And I was dying. I was the last to get off the rowing machine.
Yeah, were you?
But it was great because everyone came around and just cheered me on, right? And that was a great feeling that I've never had before.
Oh, cool.
Right?
So it was great community there. Great community.
Absolute great community. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty humbling, I think, when you go and do something like that. I think that's what attracted Nick to it, too, because he's been working out since... I think it's since his jaw was broken, he was in a friend of his, they were at a bar downtown Toronto, and a friend of his got into a fight with someone, and Nick kind of stepped in to try to like break up the fight. And one of the guys there grabbed a beer bottle and smashed Nick across the jaw. Ouch. And we thought he had a loose tooth, but then the next day we found out his jaw was broken. He had to go have surgery right away. They wired his jaw shut.
He didn't even know.
He didn't even know. He went home and went to bed. And then he got up the next day and he goes, I think I have a loose tooth. We went to the dentist and they're like, we just took x-rays. Your entire jaw's broken. We've called emergency on your behalf already. Go there now. So we went there and the surgeon met with him and said, listen, we have an open spot on this, in the surgery room. You have to decide right now if you want to hope that it heals okay, or we're gonna like wire you shut and kind of level it up to make sure it heals properly. But right now. So he's like, we looked at each other and we're like, well, we don't know anything, but it sounds good. So he went in and I think I called our parents and said, hey, your son is having surgery right now. Yeah. I guess he would have been around maybe 20 or something, and I think that moment set him down the path of going to the gym and stuff. I think he just thought, oh my gosh, like not as a way of protection to get like bigger. I just think he thought maybe I need to make some changes, and the gym was one of them. One of the ways, and then he just always started going, but then eventually got bored and found the whole CrossFit kind of world. But cool. So you're doing that. You have Dodo Foods now. How are you managing your time? Are you keeping yourself? It's a lot, man. Website development, trying to talk to people, coming here to do the podcast, cash flow, like when I say cash flow management, when you're starting a business, it's just about survival, man. Just paying the next bill as it comes in.
You're so right. Yeah. So, there's so much to unpack there, right? Like time management is huge and has been one of the things I think I've struggled with, like in the last, say, 6 months now that I quit my job last year. And because there's just always so much to do and there's never enough time, right? What I found though is that I have to pick, and I've learned the hard way because I try to do everything, all at once or whenever I can, and I just can't. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, you know what? You can't even sustain this kind of habit or lifestyle. You're not even going to have the drive to keep going, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can break you, man. It can break you.
Yeah, so I had to make a decision to, just write. I always create a list of things I need to do and things I need to get done. And either beside them, I put a star on what is most important, because I have at least like 6 different things. And I found that I can never even get maybe half of that list checked off, even in a day. I'm like, what's going on? Like, there's just so much, right? Things that come up that day as well that maybe you have to respond to or get a resolution for before the next day. And so it's just really being more mindful, I guess, and prioritizing those tasks up front. That way I know, okay, if I get this and this done today, that's fine.
You'll feel good.
Yeah.
To get things done, the biggest thing that worked for Nick and I would make that list, then pick the things that we knew we had to do but didn't want to do. The stuff that have to get done but that you didn't want to do. We would prioritize 1 or 2 of those for the day, and I would get a timer out and I would set a timer and say, okay, I have 90 minutes to get this item done. And that was it. And I would look at that timer countdown and it would force me to get the work done. And originally I would just stare and do nothing for like 30 minutes. But then when you saw that timer counting down, I'm like, holy shit, I need to get this done now.
Yeah.
And that really helped us. And then we would just do that day in and day out. 1 or 2 items that we knew had to get done that day that we didn't want to do. We do those first before checking email, before responding to text messages, before looking at our phone, before checking any sports news, anything. And that really saved us. And I did that for years, and that created enough momentum in this particular business to help us. But yeah, it's the biggest thing as an entrepreneur. You're dragged in your time dragged in so many directions, man.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's what we call it, eating the toad first.
Got it. Right? Is there a book on this? Brian Tracy?
I don't know. Maybe I think it's Brian Tracy.
Yeah.
Eat the toad first.
Yeah. So on Dodo Foods now, if someone was to go there, they can order product. It's frozen. It comes in a package. So it comes in something that's keeping it frozen upon delivery.
Yes.
You're delivering right in Ontario, across Canada. What is your network to deliver?
Right now it's the GTA.
So GTA.
Yeah.
So if you're in the Greater Toronto area, you can order Dodo Foods. The delivery takes, I guess, a few days, standard delivery time.
Less than even, because it's frozen. So we try to get it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
And in most cases, we just sort of like compile the deliveries till the weekend and just do like home deliveries just on one day. So maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Okay. And then are you roping in any family to help you out in this, or is it?
Absolutely, yes. Like, shout outs to my cousin. She's been by my side since pretty much, I guess, like January, like from the get-go, right? And like at the market, even helping me in the kitchen, producing, maybe doing some experiments as well, trying out new recipes. She's always been there. And also like my sister and her husband as well. Like they've been there all the way, just supporting me at every event that I go to.
Oh, Femi,
and I'm not paying them anything.
You have it's such a cool story that you're doing here, and especially that family's involved. In marketing, the biggest assets that you have as a business owner are stories of your life. So what we found, if you ever need something to talk about, and again, I'm just trying to share what's worked for us.
Yes.
But if you get out a blank piece of paper and you write out all the most meaningful things that have happened in your life, the things where you maybe kind of almost shit your pants or scared you or were intimidating, but you got through it, and just write out all those things and talk about those stories in your business. People get really attracted to those kinds of stories, and it really helps make a bond with the business. So even though it's not about plantains, it's a way for you to communicate to an audience. And if they hear, like how difficult it might have been to make a decision to leave the Toronto area to go to UBC, or how difficult it was as a 15-year-old to come to Canada and what you learned about that, if you can thread that through your communications on your website, I'm telling you, I'll promise you, you are going to build some solid connections with customers through those stories who will also then buy plantains from Dodo Foods.
Right.
I just know this for a fact because I've seen it in our own business. And most business owners don't realize the stories of their lives are the biggest assets when it comes to marketing their business. So the fact that you're working with your cousin, and your sister's doing workouts while you guys, are living together, like all these things can be incorporated in the business, and most people don't leverage it fully. My 2 cents. I'm just trying to share what I
all ears. Like, give me more than 2 cents.
Yeah. But cool. Anything else that you want to share that we haven't covered yet about Dodo Foods, where you go next? Let me ask you something.
Yes.
You seem like a really thoughtful guy. Are there a set of principles that you choose to live life by? You're a young guy. I don't know if you've thought this through yet, but is there a way that you like to live that kind of works for you, or a set of principles you've identified that work for you? I'm putting you on the spot here, Femi, so I apologize.
No, that's fine. That's okay. I'm okay being on the spot. Well, I'm a man of faith, so I believe in God, and I try to do everything that I try to do. I make sure I want to root it first of all in God. So I pray. I usually pray about it. I read the Bible, and I serve at church also. And it's just my way of giving back. So that's for me one principle, like being able to give back and serve, where like you don't expect or get anything in return. I think it's just, for me, it's something that gives me joy and just makes me more fulfilled in life. The second thing I would say as far as a principle is just leading with kindness. I think, the world we live in today, there's just so much tightness, rough, like anger as well too. And I think just being a bit more kind. And for me, this is also like me talking to myself. Like I also just need to be more kind, how I treat myself and how I treat other people as well too.
How you treat yourself, that's important.
Yeah.
Do you catch yourself sometimes being too hard on yourself, not being fair to yourself?
I think so. And, I'll give you an example. So there was a day I was out with my cousin. I think we were either looking for supplies or something for the business. And we couldn't, I think, it was plantain. We were looking to get some cases of plantain. This was maybe a bit early on this year. And I think we ended up getting, one or so cases of plantains. And I think that was all we kind of accomplished that day. And she was like, hey, this is great. And in my mind, I was like, no. I didn't feel like I was accomplished. And I felt like I should have done more. Either made up a plan, or just maybe do some more marketing, or just do some sales activities, call people, or send a couple of emails as well. And I just didn't feel like I was accomplished, at least in that day, for the tasks I had finished. And I've seen it happen so many other times in my life where I've done a couple of things and people this is great, this is good. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. And I'm not sure if I'm just not being kind and gracious to myself, or if I have just, I think, well, first of all, I have a high standard that I've set for myself.
Good.
But I don't know that, I don't think, and I don't believe that I can always hit that every single day.
It's a slippery slope. It's
right.
You know, because you want to have that high bar. Like Nick and I live by a principle in business building, especially early on, that every day we had to make now money and do something for future income. So we needed income today. So we needed to make the sale, ship the product, you know, whatever it was that day to make income. But that same day, we had to do one item for future income. So for us back in the day, blog posts were really big. Now it's more videos and podcasts and that kind of stuff. But it would be, if we didn't do a new blog post or send out an email to our client list, our customer list that day, to not make a sale, but to just invest in the relationship and offer something of value to our clients,
right,
knowing that that type of value generation would get us future income because we were building our relationship, that every day we had to make now income and we had to do at least one thing that would make us future income. And we've always lived by that principle. And then the days that you didn't get that done, you can be hard on yourself. And Nick and I probably sometimes we're too hard on ourselves. And I want to give you one quick example. We were trying to fill a property early on for a guy from British Columbia who bought with us. So he wasn't local. It was in Hamilton.
Okay.
And he bought the property. And I promised him that we would get a tenant for him. And I forget the amount of days, like within 1 month or maybe it was 1 week. It was something like I gave way too short of a time. But I gave my commitment, trying to start the business, like I overcommitted.
Right.
And it was a snowstorm and we had some tenants calling us saying, hey, are you still coming on like Tuesday night or whatever night it was to show the property? And I said, yeah, we're absolutely going to be there. Knowing that I had to fill the property for this guy. He needed the money. He needed some income coming in. He wasn't like super well off. He had bought this property trusting us.
Right.
And I told him, gave him my commitment, we would find a tenant. And I guess must have been, I said a week or something, which I never should have said. I said it. We go down there, snowstorm, leave from Oakville, get to Hamilton, highway's a mess. We pull in, snow on the driveway's huge. People are on the street waiting though to see the property. Nick jumps out of the car and he was like a human snowblower. He grabbed a shovel and just started shoveling a path. He's basically made an entire little narrow path to the door. And then it hits me. I forgot the keys at home.
Oh no.
And I saw the people there in the snowstorm who were eager to get in. My brother's there carving the thing. And it just all hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm letting my brother down who came out here. I'm letting these people down who came out here. I'm letting this client of ours down that I'm not filling his property because now I let all these tenants kind of come out, but they didn't see it.
Right.
And I'm letting my family down. And I remember driving home that day. I'll just never forget on the QE double thinking like, what am I doing? Like I'm letting everybody down. Like I am failing here. Like this is horrible. And I kind of remember catching myself like saying, okay, I better get out of this mindset because it's a dangerous kind of mindset if you get into a bit of a negative cycle. And luckily I kind of, just washed it and said, okay, I'm going to pick myself up. That Saturday, we went back out, we found a tenant, we signed it, they moved in really quick and we kind of sealed the deal. But I can see if you're too hard on yourself, sometimes you can get into this like negative, and I'm not saying you do this by any means, but I can see how people do.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to catch yourself. And being an entrepreneur to me is one of the loneliest things you can do in life. Because no one knows like how difficult and the pressures it is and what's going on in your mind.
Right.
It is a lonely place.
Yeah.
So Femi, you got to take care of yourself. Okay?
Thank you. Well, yes, I'm being more mindful about that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So, okay. So where would people go to find you, to buy some plantains? What's the next step if someone wants to support you?
Right now at www.dodofoods.ca. That's our website. Check us out on Instagram as well. The handle is Dodo Foods. That's DODO Foods with an S, CA.
Oh, Dodo Foods CA.
Yes.
On Instagram. Cool.
Yeah. And Instagram and Facebook. TikTok, we do have an account. We don't really post much there though, but part of the work in progress.
Yeah, cool. Excited to watch you from, kind of the sidelines and, anything that we can do to support Dodo Foods and Femi Man, we want to. I just love the journey that you're on and I know it's difficult.
Yes.
So just keep talking to people. Like it's not a smooth path.
It's not. No, but you know what though? I feel like it's rewarding though. Like, my sister was asking me maybe like 2 weeks ago or so. She was like, "How has it been? Like 6-7 months now in. Like, do you miss your 9 to 5? And I thought about it for a second. I was like, actually, I don't. Not that I didn't hate my job, right? It wasn't like when I hate my job, so I'm quitting and I'm doing this. No, I loved the job I had then, but like, I just feel so good about this. And I'm the kind of person too who sees, the glass half full, right? So I'm always very optimistic. Also being real at the same time, not delusional. I think there's a bit of delusional, of course, in every entrepreneur.
Sure.
You have
Yes.
to have.
Yes.
You have to have that.
You got to be a little crazy, I think.
Yes. But I'm enjoying it though. Like it's hard. Like it's a struggle. Yes, and it is very, very hard. But I feel like, again, I think it's coming back to like your life, your terms. I'm doing what I actually want to do, right?
Awesome.
On my own terms, right? I think there is no better feeling than that. I feel like just doing exactly what you want, when you want to, not because you have to.
So cool, man. Oh, that's giving me chills, Femi. Very cool.
Thank you.
Pleasure to cross paths, man. You know, we're just getting to know each other, but really feel blessed and grateful to cross paths. Thanks for coming in and sharing your story.
I appreciate that, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, only good times ahead. Only good times
sir.
ahead. Thanks, Femi. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can find every new episode of the Your Life, Your Term show on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And if you'd like to get free copies of some of the books that we've put together, like these right here, or some of the reports that we've put together, like these right here, you can find all of those at www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.